The concept of some powerful character versus the big three isn't anything new on YouTube whatsoever, but of all characters I've seen being matched up against the big three, I have yet to see Batman be compared here. So in this video, this is what I'm gonna be discussing. But what I'll be doing differently here though is that I'm gonna of course compare Batman's raw stats to the big three and see who is stronger there. But after that, I will make a different scenario where Batman will have the prep time to fight against all three and see what Batman could do there, regardless of scale, if he plays against the Holy Shonen Trinity. Now, just saying the term Batman when it comes to power scaling is lucrative, since there is so many different universes of Batman and DC, and all of them have their own tier of power. So to make it simple, Batman in his base was able to fight numerous parademons. These parademons have shown the strength to push around and stun Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman in turn will have the attack power to damage Doomsday, who was stated to have planet busting output. Using this chain scale, this would obviously tie Batman potentially having planetary levels of AP in just his base. And since I'm scaling off the DCEU version, Batman's gauntlets have also shown durability feats of tanking a heat vision from an amped, bloodlusted Superman. This had to constantly nerf Superman with kryptonite, and there's also the fact that he's just a normal human. So my scale here is as vague as it gets, but considering this matchup, it's best to give Batman these planetary levels of power. The Dark on multiple occasions has shown to casually react to Superman's heat vision, which is said to be a form of light, granting Batman with light speed reflexes and reactions. To make this more evident, Superman in the past has shown to be fast enough to escape the Phantom Drive, which is said to behave like a black hole. And in the Batman vs Superman movie, Batman was able to react to Superman's speed numerous times. Although yes, he was weakened, but it's important to note Superman was also weakened when he escaped the Phantom Drive. So since he is merely human, he doesn't have extra abilities aside from his wide array of gadgets and tech that he has at his disposal to deal with practically any situation he is in, and has mastery of every sort of martial art in the DC universe. With all that said, how does he deal with the big three? The big three have been constantly scaled on YouTube and have been scaled in a multitude of different ways, so I'm not going to drag this on for too long as most of you have already seen their scales before. So I'll start off from weakest to strongest, starting with Luffy. Luffy now being a Yonko, he should scale pretty relative with other Yonkos, specifically Whitebeard. Whitebeard has the statement of having the power to destroy the entire world. If you were to calculate the size of the One Piece world, it could range from the size of the Jupiter to almost the size of the sun. Now obviously I don't think this statement is implying that Whitebeard could just one-shot the entire planet. I'm sure it's saying his raw power over time has the potential to do that, but given the One Piece world's massive size, it's still not too far-fetched to say Whitebeard has at least the AP of Multi-Continental, and other Yonko including Luffy should be close to this power. Honestly though, I don't really think any of them are actually as strong as Whitebeard physically, but they should at least be close to it. Given this, I believe Luffy should at least be Continental or Multi-Continental at a high end. Luffy's speed is probably the highest tier on his verse, having multiple light dodging feats since pre-time skip, and with the amount of training arcs he's received since then, he definitely has massively faster than light speeds. Even in the most recent arc, Luffy has shown to easily dodge attacks from Kizaru, who of course moves at light speed. Luffy's kit is also very vast, having special hockey abilities such as Future Sight, durability negation, and limited tune force, which allows him to conjure random objects out of nothing and just turn anything he wants into rubber. Naruto does have more concrete statements to back up his power. There are multiple world-ending statements before Kaguya's arrival that Naruto would scale to, and during Kaguya's arrival, she has showcased the power to create and destroy her own dimensions, which contain a moon and star within it, giving Kaguya solar system level potency. Now if you were to say this is just a hacks-based thing that Naruto nor Kaguya would directly scale to, then that's fine, but it's ignorant to say that an adult Naruto wouldn't scale above this, as he's fought multiple people who have considered Kaguya to be weak. An adult Naruto would constantly fight people like this in Boruto, making it evident a full power adult Naruto should be between solar system level to multi-solar system level, and a higher meta being universal, given Kaguya's dimensions is stated to be a time space, as well as Momoshiki and Kinshiki both having universe-sized pocket dimensions that Naruto of course would scale above. Naruto as well being the peak of his verse, he obviously scales above any fodder that has light speed statements, and Naruto himself has demonstrated light speed feats of his own. And just like One Piece, Naruto has had many training arcs throughout the series that has gotten Naruto stronger and faster, meaning he is potentially MFTL plus as well. Naruto out of the big three by far has the largest kit, having mastery of every chakra nature, shadow clones, durability negation with Furakata and True Seeking orbs, and near unlimited stamina with Sage mode and the Nine Tails. Ichigo's scaling is probably the most vague out of the three, so I do have to be much more in depth with this scale than the other two, but he objectively does have the highest scaling out of the three. We can't start with star level metas and build up from there. There are multiple star level feats, such as Senya having the power to destroy an entire star, as well as Yukio being able to create a dimension which houses a star within it. Grimmjow just in base was stated to be able to destroy the sun, and Ulquiorra just by transforming has the output of destroying Las Noches, which we've seen contain an artificial star inside of it. Moving on to higher metas, we have Yamamoto's Bankai being said to be able to destroy the Soul Society. It could just mean the Serite rather than the Soul Society itself, but it makes more sense if the narrative were implying his Bankai can destroy the entire Soul Society. The reason for this being is because Aizen and Yuha, who are leagues above Senya and Yukio, are much more wary of Yamamoto's raw power. So given this upscale, Yamamoto should at least be in the solar system ranges at a low ball, and possibly universal, since the Soul Society is considered a parallel world to the world of the living, which has shown to have multiple galaxies and stars when it's mentioned. But honestly, this could just be wink, cause it doesn't really make sense for Yamamoto to have universal AP. Ichigo and Mugetsu would of course scale far above this, since Ichigo and Aizen at this point of the series are considered to be transcendent beings. Given Mugetsu at least multi-solar system level potency, and into the 1000-year blood war, the scaling metas can get far higher than before. Granmy has shown the feat of creating a void of space, which contain multiple stars and even a distant galaxy. This scaling isn't winking either, as we have far stronger characters like Senjimaru use Bankai, which she has stated that the slightest use of Squad Zero's power can shake the 3 realms of Bleach. The kanji used in this statement was referring to heaven and earth, which translates from Japanese to being a universe. Senjimaru using Bankai should definitely have the output of shaking all 3 realms, which grants her universal AP. And finally, going back to Ichigo, he would of course cliff every scale I previously mentioned, since his true Bankai was able to one-shot Soul King Yuha, who is literally the god of Bleach. Given this, Ichigo would consistently be in the universal range. If you take this as wink, you need to understand that Bleach has multiple narrative implications throughout the entire series that back up his line of scaling, which doesn't discredit any of the high universe busting metas I said earlier. Again, Ichigo is literally fighting God, so just take that for what you will. I took way too long with AP, so I'll be brief about speed. We have as early as base Soul Society Ichigo blitzing lieutenants. These lieutenants were able to dodge the Nagashi-on, which is said to be made of light, and with the many multipliers Ichigo has gained, such as Bankai and Hollow Mask, even very early into the series he is at least FTO+. And going into 1000-year blood war, every character in this arc would cliff all those previous forms of Ichigo, and base Yuha would be above the majority of the 1000-year blood war characters, and so would Ichigo. And Ichigo gaining true Bankai and go toe-to-toe with Soul King Yuha would grant Ichigo with MFTL plus speeds. But that's not even likely to happen, as all 3 protagonists are just so much faster than Batman. Like I said, there could be an argument made for Luffy, but as for Naruto and Ichigo, there's essentially nothing a movie Batman could do here. Even if Batman somehow finds an opening, he has no way in damaging them, and this fight will just result in both Naruto and Ichigo blitzing and one-shotting him. But obviously, I'm not going to end the video here. To actually let Batman perform at his best, I'll make a second scenario where I'll give Batman the prep time he needs to see what he can actually do. So let's find out. Alright, so before I begin this scenario, I have to mention a few things first before this fight gets too complicated. Instead of purely using DCEU material, I will use prep time feats Batman has done in other forms of fictional media, such as the comics, cartoons, and games. And since the big 3 aren't connected to the DC universe, I'll just give Batman the access of knowledge that these 3 verses have, with that definitely going to make some sort of armor to fight against these 3. As to given the power gap has pretty much been set evenly, now it's time to see what Batman could do against all of the big 3's abilities. I'll go one by one to keep things simple, starting with Luffy's Toon Force. What can Batman do against that? Well, fortunately enough, there is some source material that has shown Batman dealing with characters who have much better Toon Force than Luffy, that being multiverses. Despite being the abandoned cum dumpster of a game that it still has evidence needed to stop Luffy, as the devs have said that Batman can easily prep against people like Shaggy, Jake the Dog, Tom and Jerry, and even the Tasmanian Devil, so the Toon Force won't be any sort of problem. Regardless of that, Batman would easily find out that water can hard counter Luffy's Devil Fruit, making it likely Batman could just infuse Sea Stone into his armor, pretty much making Luffy's power useless. The only thing in Batman's way would be Luffy's durability negation and his precognition. But next will be Naruto, which is a bit more interesting as both are master martial artists, but given prep time, he will easily learn how to use taijutsu, allowing him to at least contend with Naruto when it comes to hand-to-hand. Shadow clones shouldn't be too much of an issue either, since Batman would probably figure out Naruto's fighting patterns, and Batman already knows how to deal with multiple people at once, as Batman has soloed numerous different versions of the Justice League. The biggest problem I see here for Batman would be Naruto's stamina and endurance, as Naruto has Sage Mode that allows him to constantly replenish chakra with the environment around him, and there's also Kurama still being able to hand him chakra. Batman being a normal human could lead to his downfall if he doesn't find a way to finish the fight quickly, so I could see a world where Naruto could win here, by just trying to outlast him. or resorting to just sealing Batman. Honestly, I can't really come to a conclusion between these two, so just let me know in the comments who wins. And finally with Ichigo, I think this is a lot more tricky for Batman. First off, you can't see him since Ichigo is a Shinigami, but let's just pretend Batman could create some device that could help detect Ichigo. Ichigo on multiple occasions has dealt with people who've had centuries of prep time behind their back, and this is due to one reason: fate manipulation. It's implied on a few occasions in Bleach that Ichigo can change his own destiny. Even Soul King Yuha wanted to compare his almighty to Ichigo. Now saying that is extremely Mickey Mouse, I know that, but this is just one win con Ichigo has against his prep time. Another win con he has is soul manipulation, as Ichigo always fights souls all the time. He is capable of damaging Batman's soul, which to my research I've seen no way Batman could counter that. And aside from that, I don't think Batman's armor is going to actually help him in the long run, as Ichigo has a far larger stamina pool than Batman, where he has fought his Zanpakuto for 3 straight months. Batman's suit could hold him down for a little while, but eventually it'll damage his body, leaving him open for Ichigo to win. But that's all I have for this video. I believe Batman should easily beat Luffy. He should be able to beat Naruto, a close fight either way, and he most likely loses to Ichigo. The main reasons for Batman losing to these two would mainly just come down to straight stamina. But if you have separate thoughts on this, be sure to comment how and why. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by liking the video and subscribing to me. It helps me put out more content more often for you. And with all that being said, thank you for watching.